All right, the Reds, it is Talking Reds, Gareth Robertson, Neil Atkinson. Today's show is all about, obviously, reacting to the fact that there is no professional football now until at least April the 3rd in England. So all UEFA competitions postponed, Premier League, Championship, all the way down. The National League right now, up to now, I say, and their stuff is still on. You wonder whether that changes through the day. Non-league as well, not sure on that, but you know, obviously there's a different thing going on, different dynamic with crowds and all the rest of it. Golf's off, cricket's off, and yeah, we kind of thought this was going to happen. And I mean, to be fair, it just looks like common sense has prevailed. Obviously, overnight, Mikel Arteta and Callum Hudson-Odoi tested positive for it, and we got that news. Since then, Chelsea, Arsenal, Everton squads are all self-isolating. Bournemouth and Watford are reporting that staff/stroke players are reporting symptoms as well. So it all makes sense, doesn't it? Unlike those Atletico fans travelling to Anfield the other night.
Yeah, I mean, we'll come back to that in a minute. It does make sense. I think that I'm pleased in the end that common sense has prevailed. I was really surprised yesterday when it was announced that it was all steam ahead. It was difficult to do shows yesterday, just to be really honest with the viewers, because we were of the view collectively, and we've closed the office. We're still going to be doing all the content. We've got loads of good stuff we're going to be doing, but what we've removed the idea that the office is the only place where things happen and where people have to congregate. And the reason why is because at the Anfield Wrap, 60 people in any given week, I sort of calculated it the other day, come through and just come around, and we've got an open plan office as well, so that's a factor. And you know, you wouldn't want something like any outbreaks on your conscience, and we really felt as though that was something to do. And so then when they went, oh no, the Premier League games are going to go ahead this weekend, we were a bit like, are you messing? We just thought, you know, if we're doing it, you know, I just sort of thought, well, people will come to the sensible conclusion, and I'm pleased they have. I think that, you know, from a Liverpool supporter's point of view, and I think in any case from any football supporter's point of view, there can be banter about what if they cancel it, what if they void it, but ultimately it's rubbish banter. If we were 4 or 5 games into the season, there'd be an argument, but not when you're 29 in, and the legal consequences of stopping domestic seasons are absolutely huge. So it is a postponement. It should only ever be a postponement. Things will come, unless we're talking about the complete collapse of civilization here, at which point association football matters less. Association football does matter, and I think that there's a thing here where what we do is we say, well, we've got to remember what's important. Well, football is important to people, it's part of people's cultural lives, but education's important, you know, but that's going to close. You know, you can do a list of things that are important, they are important, and we can say that football is one of them by all means, but life is going to have to change for at least a period, and that's what we're seeing. Yeah,
I think it's that change in life that maybe, you know, led to the uncertainty around it. I know lots of people are being really cynical about it. Oh, it's just money, and it's just all about money. You mentioned legal challenges. I mean, you know, all this talk of, I'll just scrap it. I mean, how does that work then? Who goes down? Who comes up?
Leicester.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Leicester are third, and they've fought all season to get to third, and what they don't get to play Champions League football when that gets reintroduced. And that's a really good example of one where, you know, if anything, if you Duckworth-Lewis the season, which is a cricket reference, and I apologise, but if you Duckworth-Lewis the season, we're fine. You know, they can all but give us the trophy. And, you know, and I think that, you know, there'll be no challenge. You know, it's not like Manchester City would be saying we were still in this. They really wouldn't, because it'd be an undignified process. We're the easy ones. Everyone else is rock hard. Even Norwich are within the rights to say, listen, we planned for, you know, for thinking we'd finish the season strongly. So you can't just say, well, what we have we hold, and we go from there. And then within that, if you tried to do that, or you tried to say, well, no, we just scrap it. If you're West Brom or Leeds, you go, well, this is ridiculous. We've gone through absolute hell on earth. And also from a West Brom point of view, just to really get into the minutiae of this, it's the last year of their parachute payments. They can't just go into a new season with all those obligations. You've got the flip side of this, television's paid money. We'll want to see that coming. How are the Premier League going to return that money? How are the clubs going to return that money? These games will happen. It's just a question of whether or not they're played in front of crowds. And it's just a question of when. And in the meantime, the well-being of people who play the game. If you want to say you like football, then you've got to say you like footballers and you like football managers, and their well-being's got to be important as well. And also, if you want to say you like football, you've got to sort of like football supporters, and our well-being's important too.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, it's easy as a fan, isn't it, sometimes to sort of forget what you just said. So, you know, you just sort of like, well, they should just put it on. They should just put it on. But it's like, if you or your mates or your family or anyone you know really is having worries about the coronavirus and the effects of, you can be absolutely certain that applies to footballers, football managers, people working for football clubs, and so on. And, you know, there's a duty of care thing as well, isn't there? In that, you know, they've obviously got then academies, you know, young kids playing for them and all the rest of it. All that's off as well, by the way, obviously, and rightly so. But
First thing to go.
But I'm thinking in terms of, you know, when this decision's made, how this decision's made, it does ultimately feel like common sense.
It does, but also, you know, people at the football club, the way they phrase the Arsenal thing, I think is really important. It's almost like they've closed a village. We've had to close the village. It's over 200 people who now are in the circumstance that they need to be in, where they're going to have to self-isolate. Those people, 20 of them are the remarkably fit, multi-millionaire footballers. That's 20 of them. A further 10 are relatively wealthy coaching staff who are able to comfort their position. The next 170 are people who turn up to work. And that's the next thing to think about as well. These people keep football clubs going. You know, football clubs aren't just what we see on the pitch, they're what you see every single day. It's what we don't see every single day. And those people now need taken care of. And in general, football's going to have to think, and it's going to have to think in ways it's become used to not thinking. How we're helping lower league clubs who are in a similar sort of scenario, for whom, you know, even a pause can hurt them. They haven't got the cash reserves to be able to do 6-8 weeks, however many it ends up being. And they're going to need to be thought about as well. And I think firstly by the football family. There'll come a point on this when, you know, in all industries, governmental support might become a thing. But I think the first and foremost, if we want to call it the football family, and we want to, you know, we can't only use that when it's all a good thing. You've got to use it when, you know, people have got to come together at times like this. And, you know, from our point of view, in the most sort of basic way, our attitude is that, you know, we can keep producing our work. It'll be a little bit different. We'll get creative. We'll enjoy it. You know, we'll come up with a few ideas, some stuff that we've had in the back burner for a while. I know there's a lot that you, Ash, Sam have wanted to do. There's bits and pieces I've had in my head. You know, I was speaking to Lizzie and John yesterday, and there'll be stuff that we'll come up with. So we can keep going, and we can keep going, and we can keep going in a really interesting way. The lad who plays centre-half for Wigan can't. And the woman who's making the tea in the canteen at Wigan can't. And I think that's where football is going to have to get creative. Think about the people who it's around, and think about how we support all of this. And I think that's, you know, I think that's almost the most important thing from the football point of view. The games are going to happen. They're going to get played at some point. We don't know when, and the ramifications could be massive for the Euros, could be massive for the Champions League. I mean, if there was ever one to go out of, you know, all of that could be the thing here. But it is serious, and it is significant, and it is people working very, very closely in small confined spaces.
For football as well, it's going to be really hard to sort, isn't it, the longer this goes on, because, you know, if you get to the summer, for instance, then you're talking about, well, players' contracts being up and things like that. You also as well, you know, like the stuff Jurgen's talked about a lot this season, and you as well, to be fair, the way the scheduling has been pushed to the absolute limit, well, now you're going to see that unfold, aren't you?
Yeah, I think so. I think if you want my sort of assessment, if it was me, as a man who's obsessed with schedules, you know, I'm absolutely free. I'm free and easy at the minute. We're running naked through the wind. We're trying to work out what we're going to do, but we are going to do it. But as a man who's obsessed with schedules, for me, there's a common sense move where you take the Euros and the Copa America in the summer and you move them to when the AFCON is. Because that's happening next January anyway. And you say, right, it makes sense to cease whatever domestic football is then at that period and to work around that, because then you've got that as a block. And yeah, it means playing the Euros in the cold, but everyone will be all right. And you can then plan. And as I say, this is a new reality, this virus. It might be that it comes back around and you've got to think about that. But I think if you do that, you buy everyone until around the 10th of July. And then you've got everyone till the 10th of July. And then you can go from there, really. And if it means you end up saying, well, no one has to win. Genuinely, I'm not being facetious. No one has to win the Europa League or the Champions League. But league seasons do need to be finished. No one has to win the FA Cup, but league seasons do need to be finished. And if you can get the players and the squads into a position where you can feel as though, even if you've got to behind closed doors here, you know, if you say from, you know, extreme scenario, possibly the start of May, and you think, right, get them fit, get them isolated, get them fit, get them in training camps, get everyone in the training camps tested every single day, and then get them playing a game every 4 days to get this finished. 9 games left, a game every 4 days to get this finished. And then say, this is just your reality now, lads. And it almost becomes like a mini block of games, a mini tournament from the start of May until the first, second week of June, to say, we're going to get you in shape, we're going to get you all well. And if they have to be behind closed doors, those games, that's the point where you say, so be it. I don't think you need to say, so be it, behind closed doors now, because the United one, it's mad. Looking at the PSG Dortmund one, not a proper game of footy. Yeah, I don't know. And that, like, you know, listen, PSG beat Dortmund, but it might well be, you know, the PSG crowd might have been nervy. and got on the Dortmund crowd's back, and the Dortmund crowd, sorry, on the PSG players back, and that, you know, but as it is, it just becomes, it makes it feel like a non-contact sport in a really weird way. So that's got to be an extreme solution, but it should be on the table, because I think that everything should be on the table up to sort of saying that the season never happened. Because I think if you, as I say, if you go down that route, you'd open so many domestic leagues up to so many challenges. And just, as I say, to throw away 29 games, and this isn't because we're top, I'm thinking as much about Leicester City and, for instance, Bournemouth as I am about anyone else, you know, or West Brom, and whether I like it or not, Leeds, as anyone else. You'd end up in a situation where you're going, that's just not on. And so I think you've got to find a way to do it. And as I say, if it had to be behind closed doors and it was its own thing and it was a bit mad, it would almost like the Soccer Sixes in mid-May or something. Yeah, it would be like that. Play it on carpet. Yeah.
I mean, whatever happens, we shall be talking about it. And as Neil says, we're going to carry on, keep on producing content, video podcasts, writing on the website as well. So stick with us. You might have some time on your hands and you might want to listen to some podcasts and watch some videos and read some writing. So we'll do our best to carry on and soldier through. And as Neil says, we're going to do it in slightly different ways and different parts of the city, and not come to the office and studio quite as much as we would ordinarily. But yeah, stay safe, keep happy. There's no footy, but you know, I don't know.
Read a book.
What you're going to do with your time? Let us know in the comments. Up the Reds.